Hi everyone, and welcome to Melbourne Business School here at the University of Melbourne, and in particular welcome to our virtual campus, our temporary home for today's conversation about how our range of management, marketing, HR and international business options can set you up for a global career. My name's Chris Gartner and I'm the Director of Academic Services here at MBS, and I'm also your host for today's discussion. Now, before we go any further, you might know that it's customary for us to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land upon which we are meeting. Usually on our physical campus, that's the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. But given we're meeting in many places today, let me acknowledge all Indigenous elders, past, present, and emerging. And while I'm at it, just a quick word about our physical campus. You're probably aware that all of our classes right now are being delivered remotely or online. We're working, however, on our plan to return to campus, with our main priority being the health and safety of our students, staff and the wider community. So you can expect to hear more about our phased approach to return to campus in the weeks and months ahead. All right, on to today's discussion. Now, at this time of year, we know that students, whether you're local or international, are weighing up whether or not to apply for graduate study, and it is a big decision. So that's why we've brought together our program directors from two of the management, marketing, HR and international business degrees that we offer here at MBS for a discussion today. Before I introduce them, let me just give you a quick overview of what we're aiming to do for you today here in this conversation. So we'll touch on three things. The first is how studies in these areas of the business disciplines will enhance your career across all industries and all sectors. We'll talk about the course structures that we offer in these key programs here at MBS, and we'll also give you some admissions tips as part of that. Our two guests here today read a lot of applications, and I'll give them an opportunity to give you a sense of what they're looking for in a good application. We'll also then talk about where studies in these disciplines, so management, marketing, HR and international business, can lead you as a graduate of MBS. Now, while we're talking today on the screen, do be aware that we have a team sitting behind the scenes ready to chat with you about any questions that you have. If you've got a question that you'd like to put to the three of us, make that known, and if we've got time towards the end of the webinar, I'll put them to our guests here. Okay, so that's the housekeeping done. Let me introduce to you the program directors, Dr Erica Coslor and Dr Liang Chen. Welcome.
Thank you, Chris. It's great to be here.
Let's learn more about the two program directors. Let's start with Erica. Can you maybe give us a sense of your background and the involvement that you have as the program director for the Master of Management, Master of Management Marketing and Master of Management HR? Sorry, Erica, I might just stop you there. We've just got a little bit of problem with your audio. Is there maybe an adjustment that you can make at your end? Let's see how we go.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm a secretary, and it's been quite interesting to be doing that and seeing what people are interested in for HR, for marketing, and for the general Masters of Management.
Great. And your background in terms of your academic background?
The University of Chicago, and art, the fine art, Sotheby's and Christie's in New York and London for my PhD research.
Okay, great. Still having a couple of audio issues with you there. Maybe we can see if we can fix those while I ask the same question of Liang in terms of your background and your involvement in the Masters of International Business.
All right, Chris. My name is Liang Chen. I'm a senior lecturer in management and the Department of Management Marketing here. I did my PhD in international business at the University of Leeds in the UK. I was teaching and involved in research with a couple of British universities before moving to Melbourne in 2018. My research is in all areas of international business, but particularly regarding digital firms and digital platforms. I teach issues in managing a multinational, which is a core subject here in MIB.
Great. And your role as a program director, how would you characterize that?
It's been, basically I took over a program directorship earlier this year. So it's been a fantastic experience, going through applications, hanging out with our students, and keep up with what's going on in the industry, and hopefully bring that, the industry element into our classes. It's been fantastic for me.
Great. Okay. Well, that's a bit about the two of you. Let's actually talk about some of our programs here at MBS. So let's start broad. Liang, I might ask you first, why are studies in these areas so important to the world right now and today?
Right, so our program is called International Business, a Master of International Business. International business is about trade, about foreign investment, about multinational firms. We study them because they are so important in our economy. We live in a world where we constantly trade with other countries and receive investments from other countries through multinational firms. And large multinationals can generate more revenues a year than some of the advanced economies. And the multinational firms account for over half of international trade. So they really are the drivers of economic growth, employment growth, and productivity growth. And also, quite frankly, many of the young talents today would like to pursue careers with large corporates. And most of the large corporates in Australia are either multinational firms themselves or owned by multinational firms. We really need to understand how they work and how trade and investment work in general.
Great, thanks, Liang. From your perspective and your disciplines, Erica, why are they so important to the world today?
Right. So marketing are from just the corporations people. So the course tells that in different ways
Erica, we've still got some audio problems coming through from your end. So I might come back to you and see whether the people behind the scenes can help you to fix them, if that's okay. But still very keen to get your voice into this conversation. Look, just moving on for a moment, Liang, how does your program, the Master of International Business, distinguish itself from the broader Master of Management suite of programs that we offer at MBS? We get that question quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are two main areas we'd like to distinguish ourselves. First of all, like I said, we study international business. We design our curriculum around international elements. For example, we have international HR, international marketing, cross-cultural communications, global corporate strategy, Asian business and management, and so on and so forth. So our students can also choose subjects from Master of International Relations. So it's all about international. The core content is different. And we make sure our students understand the context of today's global economy very well, and then also how business functions like marketing and HR operate in such a context. And secondly, I think, because of our focus on international, we naturally draw students from around the world, and we have a truly diverse student cohort. You would basically hang out with young talents from a wide range of countries who have very international outlook and bring to class their valuable views. And those who choose our course have proved to be global citizens. And that's why we encourage them to take on overseas consulting projects internship, exchange programs, as well as our double degree program with our partner institutions.
Yes, and we'll certainly talk about some of those additional offerings that we offer here at MBS shortly. Erica's just dropped out. Hopefully we get her back in a moment. But I want to ask you a question that I know a lot of our prospective students that don't come from a business background have. And that's, you know, the idea of studying at a master's level in a new area like business when you might have come from humanities or science or a different area can be daunting for a lot of students. How does the course structure of our programs overall support these students, build the foundation so that they can study in the business and economic disciplines?
Absolutely. Students without a business background will start off with what we call foundation subjects. And these are in areas of accounting, in finance, in economics, business analytics, and as well as psychology. So they will equip you with the basics for business studies and business and for understanding business operations. So essentially, these are the fundamental skills you need to succeed in a business and a corporate world. And we also have foundation subjects that give you insights into the business world, how businesses actually work, how do people work within business organizations, and business etiquettes, and so on and so forth. You know, we of course take into account the fact that students don't have a business background. Some of the students don't have a business background. We save the more specialist subjects to later stages of the program. I mean, you will need to do core subjects which are compulsory, you know, depending on, you know, which program you take, depending on the core area of study. You will also get to choose electives, of course, from a wide range of offerings, you know, at a later stage of the program.
I think that those structural elements and the way the course is designed to allow for, you know, building up is an important component of what we do. Erica's just joined us. I'm hoping we get to see and hear from you again. Just very quickly, in terms of the three broad disciplines that you're here to talk about today, how would you characterise the experience for non-business background students coming into those and getting up to speed with what they're about and how they apply in the real world?
Yeah, so I think that people with an interest in marketing or HR or general management will be well served with these degrees. We actually have in the HR area, there's a lot of people with a psychology background, for example, and who are able to kind of come in and reposition themselves into the HR area in that very compatible area. But some people come from arts or English. And I think as long as you are ready to work hard and, you know, be ready to hear some terms you might not know about, I think after a semester or two, you'll be right there with everybody. And I wouldn't say that it's harder, but knowing that it's going to be different is the key. I think for people, we have people coming in from sciences as well. So these are all some good ways for people to kind of re-transition or to go in a particular career direction through the programs.
Now, I do want to give people a chance to hear, I guess, your take on why the disciplines that you're here to speak about are important, what they can contribute to the world at this point in time. We couldn't quite hear you before. So did you maybe just want to take us through that briefly again?
Yeah, sorry about that. I've got computer issues. So whether you're doing general management or marketing or HR, these are core areas that you need in every single organization, whether it's the smallest startup, maybe just you, or the largest corporation where you might have, you know, almost 100 people in your department or across different countries. And so even though these might work slightly different in different contexts, we're still aiming to give you kind of a broad understanding of key factors that you would need in marketing or HR or general management, along with soft skills and hard skills, including quantitative analysis, to give you that breadth of knowledge.
Cool, cool. So we've talked a bit about the disciplines and where they sit in the world today. I just want to switch gears for a moment and maybe hone in on the experience that our students have, both in the classroom, but then also outside of the classroom. So my question to you both is, how would you characterise the style of teaching and learning that students here at MBS experience? Liang, I might ask you first.
All right. I think our teaching approach would depend on subject, really. We always try to bring to our students, bring to class the best available approach. We have some, traditional subjects like accounting and finance. We would where we would rely on very solid and rigorous method to ensure that you understand numbers well, and this is critical, and you must master that skill. And in some of our core subjects, we rely very heavily on case studies and on students-led projects. And the idea is that you need to understand the theories but also apply the theories to real-world problems and scenarios, and to try to help you understand better how the theory works and how we can understand business phenomena based on these theories. And it will basically give you a sort of sharper analytical view, which essentially distinguishes good managers from average managers. And we also got a range of practicum subjects that are primarily based on projects given by the firm, and we are to sort of help them address a problem as if you are a hired consultant. And we also got some of our capstone subjects utilize simulation games, right? So essentially playing a game with your fellow students. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Football Manager. The video game. So essentially playing a game with your fellow students through the course, through the subject, but the game is about business venturing, about the strategic decisions you need to make. How you spend your budgets, your operating budgets, so on and so forth. So sort of the idea is to integrate what we've learned from theory and put you in a very realistic scenario and try to link theory with practices.
So there definitely is a place for, I guess, the more traditional theoretical learning, but there's also ample opportunity to apply it in as close to real world settings and with as close to real world problems to solve as possible as a student, is what I'm hearing from you. Erica, what's your take? How would you characterise our approach to teaching and learning here at MBS for students?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the class and actually the instructor. So different instructors kind of teach in different ways. I remember sitting in on one of my marketing colleagues' classes, and I was very surprised because he's like, all right, we're going to leave the room for a minute and let you guys start to talk. And I thought, wow, that was a risky strategy, but that's his style, and he very much kind of puts the learning to the students. I'm personally very much a fan of case studies. So every week in my classes, we're doing a case study. So that might be Tesla and their strategic decisions. That might be anything to be like a big IT project. And that's also for me as an instructor, I like to keep it fresh and I can do things that are topical and kind of reinvigorate the course material so we can have both classic theories. You might read an article that was published all the way back in 1989 about computer problems, and then we can highlight with a case from this year how these are still ringing true with people's experiences.
Okay, interesting. So you've talked about what happens within the academic program here at MBS. How would you characterise the engagement opportunities that we have maybe beyond the academic programming for our students? Liang, sorry.
Just to picking up on that point, we also have industry engagement within our programs. We have practicum subjects both in Melbourne and overseas. Right, and the sort of learning experience pretty much embedded in the industry, and you can also credit for your internship, right, and your participation in case competitions, and also we constantly bring industry practitioners to our class to hear their views, to illustrate how we can link theory to practices. For example, this semester I invited a senior manager at IBM and previously at Accenture to discuss his experience in and with multinational firms, as well as share his views about this, post-pandemic business world. And then, beyond our classes, our programs, we also have a range of, student-led clubs and societies, which gives you, network opportunities, and as well as career mentoring programs and job-ready sort of skills workshop programs, again to improve your employability and your skills in workplaces.
I think those job-ready masterclasses and workshops that we run are something that the team across the school works quite hard to pull together. This semester, virtually, albeit we've had the likes of Atlassian, Xero and Ernst & Young come onto virtual campus. And not just offer students an opportunity to meet them, but offering students an opportunity to get a sense of how some of the skills that they're learning are applied in the workplace directly for them too. So there's quite a bit of work that we do as a faculty, but also those student clubs and societies that you've talked about. I think we've got 15 across the business school, and they talk to all disciplinary interests as well. So there's definitely something that speaks to everyone in terms of their aspirations and where they want to go for work. Erica, do you have anything to add in this space around, I guess, your reflections about what students have derived from their co-curricular opportunities here?
Yeah, and one thing to add is that for clubs like being in the Student Association of Management and Marketing, you could be the treasurer or you could be the head of the club. So these are clubs where you can also get some leadership experience, and I think that that's been really useful because they also bring in speakers, and you might be having that opportunity to engage more closely with industry leaders because you're planning an event, and that's going to give you some more information. And I think we should not forget about the case competitions. So our business case competitions are going on in a variety of different areas. And I think we've also added hackathons now because of the entrepreneurship program, and those might be around like a social venture, and so it's kind of an intense, maybe a 3-day weekend of work type of a thing. But it's a way to really get some new ideas and meet new people, and and have different ways to engage and some great CV items.
Definitely. So look, there is much more information available on the business school's website around a lot of those opportunities. So really do encourage people to check it out and learn more about it. Again, switching gears, let's talk about the mid-year intake that we're busily planning for right now. And Erica, I might ask you, this time round, given the current situation, we're giving students the opportunity to undertake the foundation subjects of our programs as they are offered through our fully online graduate certificate of business program. Did you maybe just want to step us through what that is and what benefits that offers to students?
Yeah, so this is a new initiative that we've been working towards to make our programs more flexible and to make it easier, I think, for the people that want to compress their degree into a shorter amount of time to be able to do that. Because if you could, for example, as we were thinking, if you could take 1 or 2 of your subjects while you were still maybe before you came to Melbourne or while you were still working full-time, then that helps you to really speed up the degree part of your program where you're here on campus. Now, because of our current conditions, this has actually been a really nice initiative that lets things happen online, and that includes a variety of innovations, things like online specific kind of short segments where the teaching is done in ways where you watch a video and then maybe you do an exercise, and then you watch another short video and you do an exercise, to other types of teaching, really depending on the class.
And this is obviously in anticipation that in the future, beyond undertaking these subjects, if students choose to do so, that they then come back and undertake subjects normally on campus and then be able to I guess, get the full campus experience at that point in time. Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Okay, another question for both of you, and I might ask Liang to respond first. Graduate studies are often perceived as having traditional post-study career paths into the corporate sector, and we've touched on this already a little bit. But I'm interested in your reflections on in terms of how this has evolved in recent years, and what are some of the other areas that graduates of ours are venturing in?
Right. I think it's still clearly the case that many of our students are keen on, jobs in corporate world. But, over recent years, I think some of our students become very interested in social entrepreneurship, essentially making the world a better place. And we do encourage that. And I've invited a senior manager and a founder of an Australian startup firm, partly funded by Commonwealth government. And the company specializes in turning carbon emission into construction materials like bricks to be used by the construction industry. So the idea is that to help our students to try to understand the balance between making the world a better place and making money. You need to show that the technology you use and the business model you have can generate a decent profit margin and can scale up so that you can attract capital and sustain your company and so on and so forth. And also our students are interested in entrepreneurship in general. The story of Airwallex has been very inspiring, and even if it might not be your full-time endeavor, I think these days anyone can create content, can monetize content, can manage your own brand, your personal following on a digital platform, and this is what I research. And so I think it's going to be part of our life, and that's why subjects like entrepreneurship, digital marketing have been very helpful and popular. And as I understand, we also hand over the faculty social media accounts to our students from time to time. And that, again, is part of the learning experience from my point of view, for those students who wish to pursue careers or personal venturing in creative and digital industries.
No, definitely. Yes, we do hand over the controls for some of our social media accounts to students, and sometimes they do a better job than we do. Erica, what about from your perspective? What are you seeing some of your students move into?
Yeah, so a few stand out. I had a look when you guys asked me this question last week, and I had a look at my LinkedIn, and I actually wanted to highlight that in addition to kind of our normal consulting and marketing and HR roles, and in addition, we have a lot of students that come through to upskill and go back to their family business. That's very common as well, but we also have a lot of nonprofit and startup. So for example, a former student is working at the Melbourne City Homeless Mission. Another student is actually a motivational speaker. It's kind of interesting. And then one of my favorite examples, actually he dropped out. This is Kettle Hansen, who went through the Melbourne Accelerator program, and he's at the very beginning of this kind of empire of vegetarian spices and his vegetarian bacon flavoring. So these are some of the interesting examples of people that have come through our program. So it is a good mix. We do get a mix of interesting people, and that really enriches also the classroom experience.
And certainly we spend a lot of time and effort trying to create opportunities for people to continue to come together and share their experiences and their journeys after they graduate with us too. So the alumni network is a pretty strong one out of the school, and there are a number of stories of people benefiting from making connections through the alumni network while they're students, but then also after they've graduated from us. So it's always good to hear some of those stories. Next question, and you've touched on this a little bit up until now, but I want to ask it point blank. Both of you have spent extensive time in other institutions, so you've got a sense of what the business offerings are elsewhere. What makes studying here at MBS unique from your perspective? Keep forgetting to say who goes first. Liang, you.
All right. I think For probably three reasons, MBS is unique. First of all, we're part of the best university, and you get a golden standard. The business school is very resourceful. It has fantastic student support. Chris leads a tremendous team, making sure that our students get the most out of the degree. Whether it's exchange program, industry engagement, or career mentoring, and so on and so forth. And the second, we are by far the best business school in Australia. And coming from an international background, I'm pretty confident to say that. And we have the best faculty, which consists of scholars from around the world. We know the best materials available globally, and we always aim to feed our own research into teaching. To just give an example, I recently published a case study of the internationalization of TikTok. And the case study itself is based on my research, which is published in the best journal in international business. And I use that case study in my class. And finally, I think I'm very proud of the quality of our students. It's not just their academic performance or academic background. I think it's the ability of Melbourne Uni and Melbourne in general to draw young talents with international outlook and with tremendous career aspirations. As a person, you are probably defined by who you're surrounded by and who you hang out with. And I think as a business school, we are defined by our students. And when you combine the best faculty with the best students, I think that's the only, there's only one outcome you get.
That peer group is pretty important, and it's something that we're conscious of too. Yeah, definitely. Erica, what's your take?
Right, so I have to wholeheartedly agree with Liang. First, that really the university is about making those connections and finding that peer group, because in your future career, you don't know if you're going to need somebody who can talk to you about manufacturers in Guangdong, or who can help you do finance in Singapore or New York, or might be able to introduce you to people in London. And even in my own case, it was my kind of alumni networks that had me finding friends here in Melbourne when I moved down here from the States. So that's really, really important to have those networks, and for your career and for your personal development as well. And then we are world leading researchers. So for example, I had the chance to be interviewed for ABC Radio the other week, talking about the future of the office and flexible working practices. And those are some things that I like to share with my class. Hopefully you guys will think it's interesting to talk about flexible working and in this changed environment, or about innovation in grid computing, because those are the kinds of things we like to bring directly to the classroom.
No, definitely. Okay, conscious of time, if we now move to, I guess, the pointy end of the questioning, and that's around how you can apply to be a student here at MBS. Erica, given you're now coming in through Crystal Clear, I might ask you about whether or not there's scholarships and Commonwealth supported places available, and the way that students apply for those.
Yes, we definitely have those scholarships and aid packages as well for deserving overseas students. And some of those are automatically assessed when you do your application. Others of those you can apply for. And we do want to be, even in this changed environment, we are going to be offering scholarships and aid to students.
Definitely. And in terms of, I guess, the technical detail around that, I'll just go through it now for everybody out there. Applications can be submitted directly to the university via its website. And also for our international audience, you can also speak to one of the university's appointed student recruitment overseas representatives. Again, the detail of that is found on our website. In terms of timelines, applications are definitely still open. For international students, it closes on the 12th of June. And for domestic students, there's just a little bit more time on the 30th of June. And that's the mid-year commencement with us. Now, one question that we often get asked is whether or not we can provide any tips around framing the personal statement that needs to be part of an application to study here at MBS. Now, Liang and Erica, as part of the admissions process, read lots of these. Lots and lots of these. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to ask them both if there are some top tips that they can offer to prospective students. Liang, what are your top tips?
I think personally, I'm looking for a strong motivation. What's your background? What makes you interested in international business? Is it because of your overseas experience? Is it that your work experience has to do with international business? Why do you think the course is the right one for you? And I believe you can only get the most out of the program if you are truly curious and driven and motivated, right? And also at the end of the day, it's called personal statement, and so it has to be personal. It's about your story and your thoughts. And I think the idea is I want to get to know you before we even meet each other.
And certainly as part of those personal statements, and I know a number of program directors, when they read them and they get a sense of what an individual's aspirations may be or where they've come from, it has resulted in maybe the team here recommending a different course of study that might be more relevant or suggesting, a slightly different course of action. So those personal statements are really carefully read, and we do think about, I guess, how what your aspirations are fit in with the rest of the business school in the cohort. So I think that's a really good point. Erica, your top tips?
Yeah, and especially if you want to do something different compared to what's on your transcripts. Although actually, I also really like looking at the transcripts, because some people you can tell by their electives, like, what different interests people have. And I'm like, whoa, that's a really interesting combination. So of course, if you have a personal statement and you're coming from psychology and you want to do HR, like that's a pretty logical type of a thing. But for people that have done finance and then they want to do marketing, it's really helpful for me to hear, like, oh, I've been involved in my family business, or I thought I would only want to do finance, and then I got an internship, and then I was actually the marketing intern, and that changed like my interest. So it's really interesting to see that story, and that really helps me to kind of understand, like, oh, and sometimes I'm like, based on their scores in like marketing, maybe the student would actually like that better. Of course it's up to you, but sometimes we can make some suggestions that you might not have even thought of. So yeah.
Yeah. So I guess the take-home message from both of you is that we really do want to get to know you as much as we can prior to you starting with us, and the personal statements are a way to start to move in that direction. Great. Okay, well, that's the end of the questions that I had on my list to ask both of the program directors. The crew behind the scenes tell me that there have been plenty of questions, but most of them have been addressed by the crew behind the scenes and through the conversation here. So I don't think we're going to put any to you this time around. You're lucky in that regard. We might let you off the hook. But can I just say thank you to you both for joining us here today for this conversation, and thank you to everybody out there for dialing in and listening. More information, of course, is available across the Melbourne Business School and University of Melbourne website, and the team are always happy to take further questions you have in the days ahead. So thank you for joining us, and looking forward to speaking to you soon. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.